Today I want to talk about driving in the car with our kids, specifically about traveling with our two daughters who are on the autism spectrum. Maggie just turned 9 and Tessie just turned 3, and we have driven all over the country with our kids basically in our van. We drove during the summer one summer from Florida to California without air conditioning, which was hot. That wasn't our best car trip. I feel like after we've done Florida to California, we've done multiple California to Michigan trips with all of the kids except for Tessie, our youngest. So the other 4 kids have all driven multiple times back and forth between California and Michigan. The girls and I, by myself, when they were 1 and 3, drove to Montana and then back. And every year we drive back to Massachusetts, which is where Paul is from and where his family lives. So we drive a lot. And that is because we don't fly. We used to fly. It's not that I personally have anything against flying. I've flown a lot in my life. However, now that we have 5 kids, I do have something against flying, and that is that at this point in time, I am not willing to fly with our 5 children. Not because of Maggie. Now, if you're new here, Maggie is our 9-year-old who's on the autism spectrum. Every time she has flown, she loved it. She loved looking out the window. She's done really, really well. She hasn't flown since she was 4 or 5 though. And the last time that we tried to fly, it was just a total nightmare. I haven't been willing to try it again. And I don't think I'm going to be willing to try it for at least a few more years. We have really perfected the art of road trips. It's something that Paul and I both enjoy, kind of obviously, getting in the car and going on a road trip. And I think we've gotten better at it over the years. In fact, we've made some rules recently. And so, since right now we are in the middle of our annual trip back to Massachusetts, I wanted to share the experience with you and share what we've learned over the course of the last just over a decade being parents and driving back and forth all over the United States as we have moved from state to state and as we have traveled for school, for work, and visiting family. Our biggest rule lately is that we no longer use the DVD player. For a very long time, we had no DVD player in the car, and we only had music or books on CD. Well, I guess originally it was tape. Originally it was books on tape, and then it became books on CD, and then we got the DVD player. And so for a couple of years, we had DVDs in the car and the kids watched DVDs in the back. And Paul pointed out that he felt like the kids weren't as well behaved since we had the DVD player, and he wanted to get rid of it. So I said, okay, let's try it. We were cutting way back on screen time in the house too, so I figured it was a good time as any to get rid of the DVD player in the car. Not literally get rid of it, but stop using it. Fold the little thing up and say we're not using it anymore. And we had one rough day, and it was really only rough for James. Maggie didn't seem to notice. Tessie didn't care at all. Sadie was enthusiastic about it. Sadie's our 11-year-old. Our 3-year-old, our 9-year-old, and our 11-year-old, they didn't care. It was going to be the 2 boys, our 6-year-old and our 4-year-old, who cared. And we knew that when we did it. And so they were the 2 that were upset with us for about a day, 2 days, and then it just became what they were used to. I noticed within the first week, the boys had been fighting over what we were going to watch. For us, DVDs in the car just were not worth the fights that the kids got into over it. And if you know me, you know my kids do watch TV. It's just we've figured out that for our family, it actually does really work better without that DVD player, because with it, it just was not working as well at all. And I am all about what works. Use what works for you and throw out what doesn't work. The next thing that has changed over the last 10 years is that I pack a lot lighter than I used to. When Sadie was a baby, our entire car was stuffed full. And it was a smaller car, I will say that, but our car would be overflowing. I brought like every single baby thing that I owned with us just in case I might need it. I probably brought like half of her wardrobe too, and her wardrobe was ridiculously huge. I think as a baby, Sadie owned more clothes than all of our kids together probably own now. I was very over the top with Sadie when she was a baby, and I can own that now. And I feel like now, every single year when we travel, I end up bringing less and less. And it is helpful that I know that when we're out here in Massachusetts, we're going to have access to laundry and that we're going to do laundry a couple times while we're here. This time, we arrived on Tuesday and we're staying till Sunday. So we're here for 6 days. I brought 4 outfits for each member of the family, and I brought 2 pairs of pajamas. We are doing laundry basically every other day, and everybody has clothes. All of the clothes for me and the kids all fit in 2 suitcases. They were carry-on size suitcases, and the back of our car was not overflowing like it even was 2 years ago. I think even last year it was pretty full. It was to overflowing. Every time we travel, I look at stuff and realize that we didn't use that stuff last time when we were here, so why would I bring it again? I find that I am less stressed out when we travel when I take a more minimalistic approach to traveling, and when I realize that there are stores along the way that sell just about everything that I need if I have forgotten one little thing. Although I do still make lists because I love to make lists so that hopefully I won't forget the things that we actually need. On the other hand, this time, and this is my third travel tip for traveling with kids, this time I made little travel boxes for each of the kids with stuff in it that they had never seen before, and I surprised them with it on the first day of our trip. They had kind of glanced in and been able to see it in the kitchen, but I did not let them get a good look at it until they got in the car and we were leaving at like 6:45 the morning of our trip. And it had a lot of sensory items, so each box was designed for each kid. I got this stuff for them out of the dollar section at Target and at Dollar Tree. Maggie's was full of different sorts of putty, which I realized was risky, but it actually went pretty well. I got Tessie a bunch of little squeezy things, and the squeezy things actually ended up being good for everyone. Because I knew we were going to be driving very likely until very late, I also got glow sticks for everyone. That ended up being really cool. Tessie had a blast with the glow sticks. Because there were some wipe-off whiteboard books from Target, just any little things that I thought would keep the kids busy, but that would also put off the "are we there yet" for a little bit longer. Each of them had a small amount of snacks in their boxes, but not the total amount of snacks for the trip. And that was a good thing because they went through those snacks pretty fast. And that leads me to my next tip. Tip number 4 is bring snacks, and if you can plan ahead, bring meals too. We always go through a drive-thru for at least one meal. Maggie loves McDonald's, so that is usually what we do because it's basically her favorite thing in the whole world. So that is kind of the reward that we usually do for dinner. And this last time I did not actually plan ahead and pack a lunch, which I usually do, and I regretted that. But what I did do was I did have a giant picnic basket in the back of the car, which I always have in the back of the car, and it is always full of snacks, water bottles, and different drinks so that we don't have to spend money on those during the trip. My last tip is that for all of our kids, basically for their whole lives, we always approached these long car trips as an exciting adventure and really built them up in that way. We knew that we were all going to be in the car together for a really, really long time, and that a lot of times we were going to be driving late into the night, which is kind of a bonus tip. A lot of times when we had to make really long car trips, like the trip from California to Michigan, which would take about 33 hours in the car altogether, and which we would usually do over 3 days, we would drive at night as much as possible. After the kids had gone to sleep, we would just basically keep driving until Paul and I were too tired to drive anymore. That is my extra tip. Going back to the first part, we have always built these trips up as something that was really fun, and we made sure that there was a lot of fun at the end of the trip to look forward to so that the drive was worth it. While there are a lot of "are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? How much longer?" it actually goes pretty well. It actually goes really, really well. Maggie and Tessie do remarkably well in the car. They're both really, really happy traveling. And so really that just leaves the boys to be convinced that we're on a really cool adventure, that they're getting to see more and more of the country. Those are my road trip tips for traveling with lots of little kids. That is it for today. If you like this video, we'd love it if you'd give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in all things autism, we'd love it if you'd hit subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow.